Millbrook, Nebraska looked like every other forgotten Midwestern town, a single main street, abandoned storefronts, and more empty houses than living residents. But something watched from behind those dusty windows, something that remembered every secret buried in its soil. The town's history was written in whispers and unspoken fears, a narrative that began long before anyone could remember. Sarah Peterson arrived to settle her grandmother's estate, inheriting a Victorian house that seemed to breathe with memories older than its wooden frame. The local historical records show her family had been in Millbrook for generations, but no one talked about why so many generations had died young, why so many disappeared without explanation. The house's basement door was always locked, with a rusted padlock that looked older than the town itself. The first night, the whispers began. Not human voices, but something else. A collective murmur that seemed to emerge from the walls, from the floorboards, from the very ground beneath the house. Old photographs in the study started to change when Sarah wasn't looking directly at them. Faces would shift, eyes would follow her movements. Generations of Peterson family members watching with an intensity that suggested they knew something she didn't. Local residents avoided eye contact. When Sarah asked about the town's history, the elderly shopkeeper at the general store would start to speak, then suddenly close his mouth, fear flickering across his weathered face. Children playing in the street would suddenly go silent when she passed, their games interrupted by an unspoken warning. Something about her presence triggered an ancient memory that the town desperately wanted to keep buried. Paranormal investigators would later document Millbrook as a supernatural convergence point, a location where multiple spiritual frequencies intersected. But scientific explanations meant nothing here. The town existed as a living organism, absorbing memories, collecting traumas, feeding on the energy of generations. Sarah's grandmother's house sat at the epicenter of this supernatural network. The basement door opened by itself on the third night. No wind, no external force, just a slow, deliberate movement that suggested intention. The padlock fell to the ground, its metal rusted and broken, revealing a staircase that descended into complete darkness. The whispers grew louder, more insistent, a chorus of voices that seemed to be calling Sarah home. Photographs discovered in the basement revealed a horrifying family history. Generation after generation of Peterson women had disappeared or died under mysterious circumstances. Each image showed the same pattern. A woman standing in front of the house, surrounded by an unexplained shadow that seemed to consume her from the edges. Sarah realized she was part of a cycle that had been repeating for centuries. The town's paranormal energy began to concentrate around her. Electrical systems malfunctioned. Old radios played fragments of conversations from different decades, and mirrors showed reflections that didn't match the room's current state. Sarah would catch glimpses of family members long dead, standing just at the edge of her vision, watching, waiting. Local records in the town hall suggested a dark ritual performed generations ago, a supernatural contract made to protect Millbrook from an unnamed threat. But protection always came with a price, and the town had been collecting its payment through the Peterson women for generations. Sarah was the latest in a long line of sacrifices. The whispers transformed into distinct voices on the seventh night. Each voice represented a different Peterson woman. Her grandmother, her mother, and she'd never known. They spoke of a supernatural inheritance, of a responsibility that couldn't be escaped. The house was alive, and it was claiming its next vessel. Survival instincts battled against a deeper, genetic memory that seemed to pull her toward the basement. Sarah discovered ancient symbols carved into the foundation, a complex supernatural network that connected every house in Millbrook. The town itself was a living entity, and the Peterson women were its primary conduits. Local paranormal researchers who investigated later found no trace of Sarah or the house. Official records showed she had never arrived in Millbrook, that no Peterson estate existed. Only a few old photographs remained, each showing a woman standing in front of a house, slowly being consumed by an unexplained shadow. The town continued its quiet existence, waiting for the next Peterson woman to arrive. Millbrook's supernatural network remained unbroken, its ancient contract continuing to feed on generational trauma. Locals would continue to avoid discussions about the town's history, their silence a protective mechanism against awakening something best left dormant. Supernatural documentation suggested Millbrook was built on an ancient spiritual crossroads, a location where multiple dimensional frequencies converged. But scientific explanations meant nothing to those who understood the town's true nature. It was a living memory, a supernatural organism that consumed and preserved its own history. Some towns exist between reality and something else, waiting patiently for those who carry the right genetic memories, those who can continue an ancient supernatural narrative. Millbrook was such a place, its whispers continuing to call, its shadows always watching, always waiting for the next Peterson woman to complete the cycle. I had never heard of Black Hollow until my editor assigned me the story. A town swallowed by the swamps, buried in fog, and home to disappearances no one could explain. My job was to find the truth. The drive was long, the roads cracked and abandoned, the trees hanging low like skeletal fingers reaching for me. I arrived just before dusk. The air smelled of wet earth and decay. The few people I saw refused to meet my gaze. When I asked for a place to stay, they hesitated before pointing to an old inn at the town's edge. The moment I stepped inside, I felt the weight of something unseen. The owner, an elderly man with hollow eyes, barely spoke as he handed me my key. "Stay inside at night," he muttered. "Don't answer if someone knocks." Then he turned and locked the front door behind me. The inn was small and suffocating. The wallpaper peeled like rotting flesh, and the furniture was covered in dust. My room smelled of damp wood and something faintly metallic. Blood, maybe? As I unpacked, I heard it. Soft footsteps in the hallway, slow and dragging. I hesitated before opening the door. The corridor was empty. Only silence greeted me, thick and unnatural. Then a whisper, right by my ear, "You shouldn't be here." My blood turned cold. I slammed the door and bolted it shut. My heart pounded as I stared at the keyhole, expecting to see an eye staring back. But there was nothing, just silence. The next morning, I searched for anyone willing to talk. Most avoided me, but an old woman named Margaret finally gave in. "You don't know what you've done by coming here," she said. Her hands trembled as she spoke. She told me of Mary Thorne, a woman accused of witchcraft in the 1800s. The townspeople tied her to a tree in the swamp and burned her alive. "She cursed this place with her last breath," Margaret whispered. "Now she waits in the dark, watching." I scoffed, but her expression remained grim. "Don't say her name 3 times in front of a mirror," she warned. "That's how she finds you." That night, I sat alone in my room, replaying Margaret's words in my head. Superstitions, nonsense, but doubt crawled under my skin. The old mirror in the corner seemed to pulse, beckoning. A stupid legend. I wasn't afraid, so I stood before it. My own reflection stared back, uncertain. I swallowed, then whispered, "Mary Thorne, Mary Thorne, Mary Thorne." The candle flickered violently. A shadow moved behind me. Asterisk, asterisk, inside the mirror, asterisk, asterisk. I spun around, but the room was empty. Yet in the mirror, a figure stood just behind my reflection, smiling. I didn't sleep. Every creak of the floorboard sent shivers through me. Then came the knock. Soft, deliberate. 3 slow taps. My breath hitched. The old man's warning echoed in my head. "Don't answer if someone knocks." I gripped the doorknob, torn between fear and curiosity. The silence stretched. Then, another knock, louder this time. My phone flickered and died. I stepped back, and the knocking turned into pounding. My window rattled. The walls shuddered. Something wanted in. At dawn, everything stopped. I stumbled into the lobby, demanding answers from the innkeeper. He simply shook his head. She knows you now. My stomach churned. I ran outside, desperate for fresh air, only to find the town changed. The fog was thicker, swallowing the streets. The buildings seemed older, rotted. A black veil hung over everything. As I walked, I saw movement in the fog, asterisk, asterisk figures, watching me, asterisk, asterisk, and when I turned a corner, I saw it. The tree where Mary Thorne had been burned, the bark was charred, twisted into the shape of a screaming face. A man approached me, his eyes hollow and unfocused. "You need to leave," he whispered. His clothes were decades old, his skin unnaturally pale. "She's already inside you." Before I could ask what he meant, he vanished into the fog. Panicked, I rushed back to the inn, but my room was different. My belongings were covered in dust, as if I had been gone for years. My reflection in the mirror, it wasn't mine anymore. I tried to leave Black Hollow. My car wouldn't start. My phone had no signal. The road out of town simply ended, just an abyss of fog. "No one leaves," Margaret told me. "Not unless she lets you." I wasn't alone in my room that night. Shadows moved in the corners, whispering, begging they weren't ghosts. They were others like me, trapped. I had only one choice. Asterisk, asterisk, find a tree and end this. Asterisk, asterisk, the forest swallowed me whole, the air thick with rot. The trees whispered as I passed. My flashlight flickered. Then I saw the tree. The bark split open like a mouth. A deep, gurgling voice filled my head. "She is coming." The ground beneath me churned. Hands, blackened and burnt, reached for me. They pulled, clawed, tearing at my skin. I screamed, struggling, but the more I fought, the deeper I sank into the earth. "Help me," I cried. A voice inside my head laughed. She had me now. Fire erupted around me. Shadows twisted into faces. Mary Thorne stepped forward, her eyes burning embers, her mouth too wide, her limbs wrong. "You called me." Her fingers stretched like claws. "Now you stay." The world blurred. I saw faces. People from decades ago, others who had been trapped. Their bodies were there, but their souls were in the mirrors, screaming, watching. "You can't escape," one of them whispered. None of us did. I ran back to the inn, knowing only one thing. I had to destroy the mirror. I grabbed the nearest chair and smashed it into the glass. The moment it shattered, the entire room screamed, the air turned black. When I opened my eyes, it was morning. The fog was gone. The town was empty. My car started. I drove without looking back. When I checked the rear view mirror, she was sitting in my back seat. I left Black Hollow, but it never left me. I see her in reflections. I hear whispers in the dark. And sometimes at night, someone knocks at my door. Ravenswood, Ohio, was never supposed to be on the map. A town swallowed by time, forgotten by history. But its darkest secret remained. The St. Augustine Orphanage. It had been abandoned since the 1950s, yet no one dared tear it down. Legends spoke of missing children, whispered voices, and things that still moved in the darkness. When Jake, Lucas, and I decided to explore it, we thought it would be just another urban legend, a fun, creepy documentary. We were wrong. So wrong. The orphanage loomed ahead, black against the cloudy sky. The iron gates were rusted shut, but as soon as I touched them, they swung open on their own. "That's not creepy at all," Jake muttered. The front door was locked, but Lucas found a side entrance. Asterisk, asterisk, a gaping hole in the bricks. Like something had torn its way out. Asterisk, asterisk, the air inside smelled of rot and mildew. As we stepped in, the door behind us slammed shut. The first floor was filled with broken furniture and crumbling toys. The wallpaper peeled like dead skin. Then we saw the writing. Asterisk, asterisk, hundreds of names scratched into the walls. Asterisk, asterisk, faded, desperate, overlapping. Children's names. And next to each name, a tally mark. "What do these mean?" I whispered. How many days they lasted, Lucas muttered. We exchanged uneasy glances. Then, from somewhere deep inside the orphanage, we heard a child giggle. We moved to the second floor, our flashlights flickering. The air was heavier here, thick with something unseen. Then we heard it. Asterisk, asterisk, footsteps above us. Asterisk, asterisk, slow. Unsteady. There's no third floor, Jake said. He was right. We had seen the blueprints. Something was walking where there were no floors, and it was getting closer. We found a room filled with cribs. Broken, empty, yet rocking back and forth. The walls were covered in tiny, bloody handprints. Then we saw the rocking horse. It wasn't moving when we entered, but when I shined my flashlight on it, it started rocking. Faster, harder, asterisk, asterisk, a whisper drifted through the room. Asterisk, asterisk, Mommy. We ran. As we turned a corner, we saw it. Asterisk, asterisk, a door we hadn't noticed before. Asterisk, asterisk, old, rusted, covered in deep scratch marks. Basement? Lucas asked. We should leave, I said. But then, the door creaked open by itself, but cold, rotting smell crawled up the stairs. From below, something breathed. We stepped down into the basement. Our flashlights barely cut through the darkness. The walls were lined with tiny, empty chairs. The deeper we went, the colder it became. Then Lucas gasped. Look, he pointed to the farthest wall. My stomach dropped. There were people down there, or at least things that looked like people. They stood in the shadows. Too tall, too thin, their heads twitching unnaturally. Asterisk, asterisk, I whispered Jake's name. But the creatures mimicked my voice over and over. A whisper, then a chorus. Jake, Jake, Jake. Asterisk, asterisk, we ran. But the walls seemed to close in. The stairs, asterisk, asterisk, were gone. Asterisk, asterisk. We were back in the nursery. But now, every crib was full. Bodies, small, skeletal, covered in cloth. Asterisk, asterisk, we need to go. Lucas choked. But as we turned, the door slammed shut. A guttural voice spoke from nowhere and everywhere at once. Asterisk, asterisk, she's coming. The hallway stretched impossibly long. The walls pulsed. Then we saw her, a woman in a nun's habit, standing at the far end, her face hidden in shadow. I don't like this, Jake muttered. Then she floated toward us, not walked. Asterisk, asterisk floated. Asterisk, asterisk, her veil lifted slightly, revealing blackened, hollow sockets where her eyes should have been. We turned to run, but the hallway had changed. The walls were covered in photographs of children, all of them staring. All of them smiling too wide. Some photos had scratched out faces, others had no eyes at all. Then we heard it. Asterisk, asterisk, tiny footsteps behind us. Asterisk, asterisk. The floorboards beneath us creaked. Then they whispered. I felt my feet sinking. Hands, small, rotting hands, were reaching up from the cracks, grabbing at my ankles. Get off. I screamed. Lucas pulled me away, but Jake wasn't fast enough. Something dragged him down, and then he was gone. Lucas and I bolted down the hall. But no matter how far we ran, we never reached the exit. Doors led to more hallways, more rooms, looping endlessly. It won't let us leave, Lucas whispered. His eyes were unfocused, his skin paler. He was changing. We have to find Jake, I said. But deep down, I knew Jake was already lost. We reached one last door. Inside, a mirror covered in bloody handprints. I saw myself. But my reflection wasn't copying me. It grinned, and behind me, a voice whispered, Asterisk, asterisk, you don't belong here. I spun, but there was no one there. Just a mirror. Just my reflection reaching out. I don't remember leaving. One moment, I was inside St. Augustine. The next, I was waking up in my car, parked outside Ravenswood. Lucas was gone. Jake was gone. Asterisk, asterisk, my camera was missing. My phone had no footage. The town? Abandoned, no records of St. Augustine ever existing. But I remember, and when I look into the mirror, I see Jake and Lucas, trapped, waiting asterisk, and sometimes at night, I hear children laughing outside my door. I never should have taken that road. It was supposed to be a shortcut, just another quiet stretch of West Virginia countryside. But as the trees thickened and the fog rolled in, the GPS glitched. No signal, no towns, just endless forest. I kept driving, but the road twisted unnaturally, leading me deeper instead of out. Then I saw it. Asterisk, a sign for Blackridge, asterisk, a town that, as far as I knew, didn't exist. Blackridge wasn't on any map. It was small, eerie, wrong, the streets were cracked. The buildings aged far beyond their years. But there were people staring, watching as I drove through. Their eyes were hollow, their expressions blank. I should have kept driving, but my gas light blinked, and against my better judgment, I stopped at the only gas station in town. The man behind the counter was thin, pale, his skin stretched too tight. He watched me without blinking as I filled my tank. When I asked for directions, he just muttered, "You should leave before dark." I laughed nervously. "Yeah, that's the plan." His eyes darkened. "No, you don't understand. If you're still here when the sun sets, you won't leave." A shiver ran through me. As I got back in my car, I noticed something off. The sky was darkening, but too fast the sun, which had been high an hour ago, was now nearly gone. The town streetlights flickered weakly, struggling against the encroaching dusk. I pressed the gas pedal, ready to leave. But when I reached the end of the street, the road had changed. It no longer led back to the highway. Instead, asterisk, it looped back into town, asterisk. I tried 3 different roads. All led back. Panic clawed at my throat. Something was wrong with this place. I stopped in front of an old diner, breathing heavily. That's when I noticed it. Asterisk, the people of Blackridge had no shadows, asterisk. They stood under the flickering streetlights, the glow passing right through them. Watching, waiting, I rushed into the diner, my heart pounding. A woman behind the counter smiled. Asterisk, too wide, asterisk, you look lost, dear. "I can't leave," I gasped. "The roads keep changing." Her smile didn't falter. "Well," she said sweetly, "maybe the town wants you to stay." Then, from the corner of my eye, I saw movement outside. A tall, featureless figure standing beneath the street lamp. No face, no eyes, just hollow. I ran back to my car, locking the doors. The radio turned on by itself, hissing static. Then, asterisk, whispers, asterisk, "You belong here now." I slammed the radio off, gripping the steering wheel. I was trapped. My phone screen flickered, showing unfamiliar notifications, text messages I never sent. A new one appeared before my eyes. "Look behind you." Slowly, I looked at my rearview mirror. There was someone in the back seat. No, not someone. Me. A twisted version of myself. Asterisk, grinning. Eyes completely black. Asterisk, I turned. But the back seat was empty. The reflection, however, was still there. Still grinning. Desperate, I ran into the only hotel in town. The old man at the front desk slid a key toward me without speaking. The room was small, dimly lit. The bed, untouched for years. The windows wouldn't open. The door locked on its own. Then, from the closet, asterisk, scratching, asterisk. The scratching grew louder. The closet door creaked open. Inside, nothing but darkness. Then long, bony fingers crawled out, a whisper slithered through the air. "You should never have stopped." The bed shook. The walls pulsed. The thing in the closet crawled closer. I don't remember running. I just remember screaming. I burst into the street, but the town had changed. Buildings moved, twisted into new shapes. Streets curved in impossible ways. The gas station was nowhere to be found, and the people? They weren't people anymore. They stood in the streets, faces stretched, mouths too wide. Their eyes were empty holes, their skin translucent. They spoke in unison, their voices overlapping. Stay. I turned to run, but they were everywhere now, surrounding me, closing in. A door creaked open beside me, a house I had never seen before. Inside, dozens of ropes hung from the ceiling, no furniture, no decorations, just hanging nooses. The floor was covered in old shoes, children's shoes. A single note sat on the ground. This is where they bring the ones who fight. I ran out of the house, straight into the woods. I didn't stop, not even when my legs burned. Then I saw headlights ahead. Asterisk, asterisk, a car, asterisk, asterisk. I waved, sobbing in relief. The driver stopped, rolling down the window. It was me. The driver was me. I woke up in my car, parked in front of the gas station. The same attendant watching me. The same sun setting too fast. I checked my phone. Asterisk, asterisk, no service. Asterisk, asterisk, the roads. All led back to Blackridge. And when I looked in the mirror, my reflection didn't move.